Welcome to our fourth annual Advent party here at Lutheran Church of the Incarnation. Now today is going to look a little bit different. Usually we get together and have some fellowship time and do all this in person. And this year we are coming to you virtually. So you've logged onto our YouTube page and you have picked up your packets with all the supplies that you need, and now you're ready to go. So let me tell you a little bit about today. First of all, I'd like to start with some thank yous. I want to thank our musical team of Pastor Dan, Jeff Schultz, Ralph Holderbein, Michelle Doolittle, and our photographer, Podge. Second, I want to thank our entire learning committee for planning this and putting this entire event together. We really hope you enjoy it. I also want to thank our storyteller, Craig. You continue to amaze us with your storytelling, so thank you. In your day today, you will find several videos attached to this video. You will find a video about our craft. We're going to be making some Christmas plates. You will find a video on our ornament. We'll be making a mini nativity scene. You'll also find our storytelling section brought to you by Craig. You'll find our caroling section brought to you by our musicians. Also in your bags, though, you'll have a couple other things that I want to mention. You'll have a candy cane, and you'll have a story about the candy cane. So take a minute and read that story because it's quite interesting. And then you'll also have a countdown chain. This is something that you may have done already, but you're going to link all of your chains together, all of your circles together, to make a chain. They're all numbered, so you can have them in the right order. Couple things that you're going to need today that you'll need for the day in general. You will need either tape or those little glue dots or a stapler for your countdown chain. I will tell you everything you're going to need in the craft section and also in the ornament section. One thing that we were not able to provide you today is Mod Podge. What we have done, though, is we have provided you a recipe on how to make your very own Mod Podge. And it's actually pretty simple if you don't have it. It's just a combination of water and regular white school glue. So please look for that in there as well. You'll also have in your folder the directions on how to make that Mod Podge. You'll also have some lyric sheets so that you can sing along with the carols that we have brought you. Again, we hope you enjoy today. We miss you. We wish we could be together, but we'll hope that you join us and invite your family and friends next year when hopefully we're able to gather in person and do this. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Craig. You might recognize me from church. But today I'm going to be more than just Craig at church. I'm Santa's helper. Santa asked me to help out with reading some stories for the Advent party today. And so I said, well, that sounds like a lot of fun. So that's what I'm going to do. We've got 3 stories, and I hope you enjoy them. The first of them is The Legend of the Poinsettia, retold and illustrated by Tomi, Dipola. First picture. Try to do this as best we can here. Lucinda lived in a small village high up in the mountains of Mexico with her mama, her papa, and her younger brother and sister, Paco and Lupe. Over here are the younger brother and sister, Paco and Lupe, and mama. And here is her papa. Papa worked in the fields with their burro, Pepito. Every evening, Lucinda fed Pepito, gave him fresh water, and filled his stall with clean straw. See, she's got the clean straw for little Pepito. At home, Lucinda helped Mama clean their casita, their little house, and pat out the tortillas for their fresh meals. See, they're working on the tortillas right there. She took care of Paco and Lupe, and each evening they went to the shrine of the Virgin Guadalupe, which was near the front gate, to see if fresh candles were needed. Here they are, checking out for the fresh candles. But every day was not work. On Sundays, the family went to San Gabriel in the square where Padre Alvarez said the Mass. And all through the year, there were fiestas and holy days, which always began with a procession. It was kind of a nice procession you see there, that wound through the village and ended in San Gabriel. Here they have their beautiful church. One day, close to Christmas, La Navidad, Padre Alvarez came to the casita. "Ah, Señora Martinez, buenos dias, good day," Padre Alvarez said. "I am here to ask you about the blanket which covers the figure of the baby Jesus in the Christmas procession. We used the same one for so many years, it is almost worn out. Because your weaving is so fine, I've come to ask if you would make a new one." "Mi padre," Lucinda's mother said, "I would be honored, and Lucinda will help me." On Saturday, Lucinda and Mama went to the market to buy the wool for the blanket. They chose the finest yarn they could find. At home, Lucinda helped Mama dye the wool the colors of the rainbow. Look at those beautiful colors. "Those colors will shine throughout the church," Papa said as he watched Lucinda and Mama string the yarn on the loom. As Christmas drew closer, everyone in the village was busy. All the mamas were making gifts to place in the manger of the baby Jesus in the church. The papas worked together, putting up the manger scene in San Gabriel. Lucinda and the other children went to the church for singing practice for the Christmas Eve procession, when everyone would walk to San Gabriel singing and carrying candles. Once inside, Padre Alvarez would lay the figure of the baby Jesus in the manger, and the villagers would go up and place their gifts around it. "Our gift will be the blanket for the baby Jesus," Lucinda told her friends. "I am helping Mama weave it." One afternoon, put a little more light on this. Does that help? I don't know. One afternoon, a few days before Christmas Eve, Lucinda and the children were singing in the church when Senora Gomez came hurrying in. "Lucinda, you must come home. Your mama is sick, and your papa has taken her down to the town to see the doctor. You must take care of your brother and sister until your papa returns tonight." Lucinda was frightened. Mama had never been sick before. That evening, Papa came in looking tired and worried. He drew Lucinda close and said, "Lucinda, mi niña, your mother is ill. Your aunt, Tia Carmen, will come to take care of Mama until she is well, but I must go back and stay with Mama until I can bring her home. It won't be until after Christmas. Senora Gomez will take care of you and Paco and Lupe while I am gone. She will come for you tomorrow." The next afternoon, Lucinda overheard two women talking. "Lucinda's mama is ill. She won't be able to finish the blanket for the procession. Isn't it a shame?" "Sí," said the other woman. "We are so disappointed. Padre Alvarez will have to use the old worn-out one." When Lucinda went home to feed Pepito and get clothes for Paco, Lupe, and herself, she looked at the unfinished blanket on the loom. "Perhaps I can finish it," she thought. But when she sat down and tried to weave, the yarn got tangled. The more she tried to untangle it, the worse it got. It was no use. She could never finish it by herself. Oh my, look at that. She took the unfinished blanket to Senora Gomez. Oh, Lucinda, it is so tangled. There isn't time for me to fix it, Senora Gomez told her. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Lucinda started to cry. It was her fault. The blanket was ruined. Her family didn't have a gift to place in the manger of the baby Jesus. Don't worry, Lucinda. We will all go to the procession together. Lucinda didn't say anything, but in her heart, she felt she had ruined Christmas. Oh, look, they're all gathering at night. They have the candles down here. And then they're going to the church in a procession. Come, Paco. Come, Lupe. It is time to go to the procession, Senora Gomez called on Christmas Eve. Where is Lucinda? She is nowhere to be found. Lucinda was hiding. Oh, look, I can see her hiding right there. From the shadows, Lucinda watched everyone gather for the procession. The candles were lit, the singing began, and the villagers walked to San Gabriel, carrying gifts to place at the manger. Lucinda walked along in the darkness and watched the procession go into the church, followed by Padre Alvarez carrying the baby Jesus. Little girl, are you Lucinda? An old woman stood in the shadows nearby. See, Lucinda answered, wondering who she was. I have a message for you. Your mama is going to be fine, and your papa will bring her home soon, so you don't have to worry. Now go into the church and celebrate Christmas with the others. Paco and Lupe are waiting for you. I can't, Lucinda told her. I don't have a gift for the baby Jesus. Mama and I were weaving a beautiful blanket, but I couldn't finish it. I tried, but I only tangled it up. Ah, Lucinda, any gift is beautiful because it is given, the old woman told her. Whatever you give, the baby Jesus will love because it comes from you. But what can I give now? Lucinda said, looking around. A patch of tall green weeds grew in a tangle nearby. Lucinda rushed over and picked up an armful. Do you think these will be all right? Lucinda turned to ask the old woman. But she was gone. Lucinda walked into the church. It was blazing with candlelight, and the children were singing, and she walked quietly down the aisle with a bundle of green weeds in her arm. What is Lucinda carrying? Why is she bringing weeds into the church? Another one mumbled. Lucinda reached the manger scene. She placed the green weeds around the stable. Then she lowered her head and prayed. A hush fell over the church. Voices began to whisper, look at the weeds. Lucinda opened her eyes and looked up. Each weed was tipped with a flaming red star. The manger glowed and shimmered as if lit by 100 candles. Beautiful flowers. When everyone went outside after the Mass, all the clumps of tall green weeds throughout the town were shining with red stars. Lucinda's simple gift had become beautiful. And every Christmas to this day, red stars shine on top of green branches in Mexico. The people call the plants Flor de Nochebuena, the flower of the holy night, of the Poinsettia. And just as a special treat, I thought you'd like to see that I brought my own poinsettia to this reading. There it is. A little hard to see this close up, but they are very beautiful flowers. They are sort of like little stars, and it's very nice. So, I hope you enjoy seeing poinsettias this year, now that you've heard a story about where they came from. and I'll be seeing you later. Hello again. Santa wanted to be sure that I read to you the story about the wild Christmas reindeer. This is one of my favorite stories, and so I just had to read it to you. I liked it a lot, maybe most because of all the beautiful illustrations, and I hope we can give you a sense of those beautiful illustrations when we're reading this here. So first we have Tika. She's nice. And she's sitting on a rock, and we have the beautiful things all about, and it's an amazing house there with that thing there. And look at the beautiful town. Let's see if I can sit here a little bit more comfortably. There you go. So Tika was excited and a little afraid. This year, Santa had asked to get the reindeer ready to fly on Christmas Eve. Tika had never done this before, and she wanted Christmas to be perfect. Tika lived up in the Arctic in the shadow of Santa's winter farm. The last of the snow geese had flown south, and everybody's mind was on Christmas. The workshop was alive with the sounds of saws sawing, hammers hammering, and brushes painting as they all worked to have the toys and presents ready for delivery on Christmas Eve. Look at this. Looks like reindeer. Looks like Tika's quite small compared to the reindeer, doesn't she? Here we have all the elves working on their winter farm. Tika knew it was time for her to go in search of the reindeer. They had been out on the tundra, wild and free, since last Christmas, and Tika was sure they would want to go back to Winter Farm to train. They wouldn't want to go back to Winter Farm to train. She would have to be strong and firm. At last she found them. Bramble and heather, windswept and lichen, snowball, crag, twilight and thunder. All right, she wants to be firm. She has to control these things, huh? Tika took a deep breath and shouted at them, "Let's go! Move! Move! Move!" The reindeer were bewildered by Tika's voice. Their heads went up to see who this loud creature was. But they let her herd them together and headed back towards Winter Farm. Tundra gave her the most trouble. Tika didn't know that he considered himself to be the leader and was not used to being bossed around. He liked to stay next to Twilight, but she was separated from him and running near the front. When they got to the barn, Tika put them in different stalls. Tundra snorted impatiently. By the next morning, when Tika went into the barn, all of the reindeer were restless and upset. Lichen was frightened of Crag. Bramble was so worried she drove Heather wild. And Twilight kept calling out to Tundra, who was just plain angry and stamping his hooves. Oh, look, she's going to brush them. See her little brush there in her hand, and looks like she's brushing away a lot of fur. This is all in his horns, his antlers. Tika groomed each reindeer. She wanted them to look sleek and glossy for Santa. One by one, she brushed and combed their coats and pushed and pulled at their tangled manes. She brushed so long and hard that their ears started to turn pink. Tika took the reindeer outside. Now she was ready for the real training to begin. Snowflakes danced in the air as she tried to stand them in two lines and put on their harnesses. But they wouldn't stay lined up. She had to put Tundra at the back with Heather instead of at the front with Twilight. So he kicked out at Heather, who then bolted into Bramble. Tika scolded the reindeer. "Don't move," she cried. But they all ran off wild-eyed, and she had to go after them and bring them all back. The next day, Tika harnessed the reindeer in the barn before taking them into the snow. Everything went right until she got them lined up outside and tried to steer them first to the left and then to the right. To make the sleigh fly, they needed to pull together smoothly, but everything went wrong. Tundra crashed into Heather. Snowball blew up at Bramble. Windswept knocked over Twilight, and then Lichen locked antlers with Crag. Oh my, what a mess. "Stop!" Tika cried as she watched the reindeers paw the air. "Unhook!" she shouted as she tried to free their long antlers. Then Lichen and Crag fell over into the snow. The harder they pulled, the more their antlers locked. The reindeer were frantic. And Tika only made it worse by yelling at them. Look at those poor reindeer. They look scared. Little yelly Tika. Tundra and Heather rushed to help, but the antlers did not break free. Windswept nudged at Lichen, and Bramble ran to help Crag. But the more they tried to help, the more they got tangled up themselves. Their necks strained, and their muscles bulged, and their antlers did not budge. Tika wailed, "Oh, please, it's almost Christmas Eve." But the reindeers could not move. A frosty silence hung in the air. Tika looked at the tangled reindeer, once so bold and free, and began to cry. "It's my fault," she said. "I've spent all my time yelling at you instead of helping. I'm sorry." And one by one, she gave each reindeer a hug. "Tomorrow," she said, "we'll go to work in a new way. No yelling, no screaming, and no bossing, I promise. Let me try to help you get free." The reindeer listened to this new voice. Heather's eyes sparkled. Crag cracked a reindeer grin. Bramble giggled and Snowball sighed. Tundra laughed and Twilight smiled. The more they laughed, the more they shook, and as they shook, their antlers rattled and rubbed, and before Tika could do anything, she heard a spring, sprang, sprung sound. It was the antlers jiggling free. Quietly, Tika led the reindeer back to the barn. She sleeked their coats, she gently brushed their ears and combed out their manes. Tundra nuzzled her cheek. The next day, the reindeer lined up in 2 lines ready for the harness, with Twilight and Tundra leading the line. They practiced turning left and they practiced turning right. Tika directed them softly. Tundra pulled for Twilight. Bramble was gentle to Lichen. Windswept helped Heather, and Snowball nestled against Crag. Together they practiced long and hard. They didn't notice it was getting dark, and they almost didn't hear a jingle in the distance. It was Santa standing by the sleigh, piled high with the presents, and ready to go. Now the reindeer were ready too, and Tika led them to the sleigh. Santa smiled and nodded his thanks. Then he climbed aboard and waved to Tika, who watched as the wild reindeer rose together and carried the sleigh off into the night. And then she went to sleep. And here it says, Merry Christmas. There's Santa, and there's Tika. I like that story a lot. Wait, do I hear something? Is that? I can almost hear the reindeer practicing. They're probably practicing. All right, see you in a bit. Hi. All right, so one more book. This one is called Humphrey's First Christmas. I hope you enjoy it. Look at that. Beloved, most beauteous and exalted King of all should be my name. Instead, they call me Humphrey. This I could bear if the worst thing of all had not happened. My dearest possession, my glorious carpet blanket has been lost along the trail. Now I am never warm, and I suffer terribly. That is why I have set into motion a plan to replace my greatest of all treasures. I carefully nudge my nose inside the caravan master's tent. This is followed closely by the chattering of my teeth, thereby letting the master know that I am most enormously cold. Success! He has not pushed me out, and I remain hopeful that a new blanket will soon be mine. Three rich caravans have joined us, and there has been talk of kings. Yet the kings bring me no joy, for they are tired. They have tied 3 huge chests to my bare back. They are so heavy, I am sure that each must be filled with rocks. The other camels are wearing the finest of blankets. They are all comfortable and warm. Not one of them thinks about me, their cousin, in pain and misery because of the loss of my most precious carpet blanket. I cry out in sorrow. I weep. Today, I continue my plan to regain my treasured blanket. I add loud sniffling to the chattering of teeth and squeeze my entire body inside my master's tent. And as I do so, out rolls my master, for the tent is exactly camel-sized. As I planned. As the master chases me away, he tosses me a new blanket. I have success. Once more, I am covered with splendor and comfort. I am filled with delight. If it were not for the heavy chests I am forced to carry, I would be almost happy. We have followed one star for many long nights. Now our caravan enters the town of Bethlehem. Its streets and inns are crowded with travelers. My master gives no thought to my tired feet and rumbling belly. I am forced to move on. At last we reach the end of our journey. But I am confused. There is no great palace, no rich oasis, no palms heavy with fruit. I see only a lowly stable with a family inside. The three kings rejoice and rush forward to bow before the young woman who cradles a baby. Finally, the chests are taken from my back and placed before this tiny child. As each box is opened, I see no stones, only gold, frankincense, and myrrh. In this land I have walked past many children, but never before have I felt the need to walk toward one. Now I kneel before this baby, shivering in a manger. Watching him gladdens me more than sweet water, fresh hay, or even my wondrous new blanket. I look into the baby's eyes and I am overwhelmed with love. I pull the treasure from my back and lay my gift carefully upon the child. He smiles and my nose and whiskers tingle with joy. I am happy to my toes, and even without my blanket, I feel warm. Beloved, most beauteous and exalted King of all should be his name. Instead, they call him Jesus. Good night, baby Jesus. Merry Christmas. Good night to you all. I hope you have a wonderful Advent season. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 4th annual Advent Party Night. Please join us now in singing Jingle Bells.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Let's go ahead and sing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. The years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining
And now, in your best Nat King Cole voice, let us sing together the Christmas song.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. Every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you.
And now let's sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen. You know Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw him, you would even say it knows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let old Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you ride my sleigh tonight? And all the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, you'll go down in history.
And now let's sing verses 1 and 3 of O Come All Ye Faithful.
Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye, oh, come.
now let's sing out with our full voices on Angels We Have Heard on High.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strain. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why your joyous strains prolong? Was the gladsome tidings be, which inspire your heavenly song? Gloria in excelsis Deo. In excelsis Deo. Come to Bethlehem and see him whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee Christ the Lord, the newborn King. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
And now for my personal favorite, here we sing, Here We Come a-Caroling.
Here we come a-caroling among the leaves so green. Here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you God Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. God bless the master of this house, likewise the mistress too, and all the little children that round the table go. Love and joy come to you, and to you God Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
We thank you all for attending our 4th annual Advent party, and we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your King. Good tidings of Christmas and a Happy New Year. So bring us a piggy pudding. So bring us a piggy pudding. So bring us a piggy pudding. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hi everyone, this is Lindsay, and I'm here to show you our craft for today. On this table, I have everything that you need, so let me just show you what you need. You need a piece of fabric. Some of you might have 2 pieces of fabric because they're a little bit smaller, but you can lay them so that they kind of crisscross and that they're big enough to cover your plate. You should all have a glass plate. Your glass plate is going to eventually look like that. So you need your piece of material to be bigger than your plate. You will also need some Mod Podge. I have some here. Now, if you do not have this, there is in your bag a little piece of paper that tells you exactly how to make your own Mod Podge, and you just need water and white glue, and they'll tell you the ratios on there. The other thing you'll need is a foam brush, which you should also have in your bags. And then you'll need, finally, a pair of pretty good scissors. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be showing you how to assemble this. This I will actually not be putting together because we do need all of the plates that we have for all of you that will be doing this at home. So you'll have to do a little bit of imagining. Your first step though is going to be to remove that sticker. And then what you're going to do is you're going to flip it upside down. That's going to be your first step. Another thing you might want to do, especially if you're at a good table, you may want to get some newspaper or a plastic trash bag and cover your area because you probably will get Mod Podge on your surface. So once you've done that, what you'll do is you'll take your Mod Podge or your homemade Mod Podge, and what you're going to do is you're going to put it all over this surface. Now you want it to be covered pretty well. You don't want it to be too clumpy, but you want it to be covered pretty well. Once you do that, you're going to take your piece of material and you're going to put the pretty side down so that it completely covers it. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start in the center and you're going to want to press and smooth and press and smooth and press and smooth. One of the things that you might encounter is you might encounter some bubbles, some of it. So what you want to do is you want to just press it down really hard, always starting in the middle and working your way out. If you have enough Mod Podge on it, it should stick pretty well. Step 2, now imagine this is sticking. You're going to turn this over and you're going to have your leftover fabric. So what you want to do is you want to take your scissors and you just want to trim all the way along the edge. And you want to do it pretty nicely. So you might need some help from an adult for this if you're not really great with scissors. Once you're done and you've got all the edges matched up really nicely, you don't want it to come over, you're going to come back, turn it upside down again, and you're going to cover the entire thing again with your Mod Podge. It should be pretty wet, and you want to leave it in this position for about 2 hours, and it'll dry. And then once you're done, you can turn it over, and you can use it for your dinner. You can put some Christmas cookies on it if you bake some Christmas cookies. Now, a couple words of advice. This is not something that is dishwasher and microwave safe. So if you are going to use this for eating, you don't want to put it in dishwasher. You also don't want to put it all the way and submerge it in water. The best thing to do is to make some soapy water and take a sponge and clean it off and dry it. What happens is if the Mod Podge gets heated back up, it'll actually come loose, and we don't want to do that because you'll have worked so hard on this. All right, so that is how you'll make your Christmas plate. We hope you have a really good time doing this. And again, if you need some help, ask an adult. Hi all, this is Lindsay again, and I am here to show you your ornament for today. So I've laid out all the supplies that you are going to need. In your packet, we have included 5 regular craft sticks and 2 jumbo craft sticks. We've also included some white yarn, some blue yarn, yellow, black yarn. What you'll need from home is you'll need some scissors and you'll need some glue. I'm using a hot glue gun because it's a little bit quicker for this video. If you have a hot glue gun, you can use that, or you can use some wood glue, or you can use some regular craft glue. Just know that it'll take a little bit longer if you are using those. I also have with me a yellow pen and a black pen, and I will show you why you might want to use those a little bit later. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to build a star. That's going to be the background of our nativity ornament. And we're going to need to glue these together. Now, one step that you can do if you'd like to, before we get ready to glue them, is you can color the star yellow. You can color your craft sticks yellow. I'm not going to color them all yellow just to save some time, but what will happen is we're gonna wrap that with this yellow yarn, and so you won't see the very edges. If you wanna see the edges, then that's fine, or you can color them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna build a star. And I was playing around with this so I could give you guys a really good idea. And the first thing I think that is helpful is to build kind of like a manger, like in our nativity. So that's what I've done right here. I've put one horizontally, and then I've taken the other ones and crisscrossed them. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue these edges together so that those stick. Okay, so I have glued those ones. I'm gonna let those ones dry just for a couple seconds, so bear with me. When we're done gluing this, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be wrapping with yarn. But the next thing we need to do is we need to build our people. And we're gonna build those with these 2 jumbo craft sticks. So while we're letting that dry, we're just about dry, you're going to be cutting these with some scissors. So you might need some adult help with this part. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use one of these for Joseph. And there'll be a little bit left over, and then we'll use the second one and we'll cut that, and that will be Mary and baby Jesus. So now that that's dry, I'm gonna flip it over because I wanna have the pretty side. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna build the rest of our star, which will look like that. So I'm gonna glue this one first. Oh, and I'm gonna need, sorry, one more right here to connect these guys. Okay, so as you can see, I have my star now. And when we wrap this with the yarn, it's gonna kind of bring it all together, but right now it kind of doesn't look all together. You can kind of see through it, but that's not a big deal. Okay, so we're gonna put that aside so that it can dry for just a little bit while we cut our other sticks. So in theory, we believe that Joseph was a little bit taller than Mary. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut Joseph about 2/3 of the way. So like this. And like I said, this isn't super easy, but if you've got a good pair of scissors, you can do it. Oops. All right. So this is gonna be our Joseph. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of use him to measure, and we're going to cut Mary, a little bit shorter, maybe say a couple centimeters shorter. And remember, we don't want to toss away the bottom of Mary because that's actually going to be our baby Jesus. Okay, so we have Joseph, we have Mary, we have baby Jesus. And I think I'm going to cut a little bit more off baby Jesus because I think I want him just to be a little smaller since he's a baby. All right, so now we have baby Jesus. So now we have to wrap all of our people. So what we're gonna do, the yellow is gonna be used for the star, the white is gonna be used for Mary, the black is gonna be used for Joseph, and the blue is gonna be used for the baby Jesus. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start baby Jesus, and I'm gonna put a little bit of glue right on the back to hold that yarn in place where we're gonna start baby Jesus. Okay, and when you start him, you wanna leave a little bit of room for his face because his whole face is not gonna be covered. All right, and we're just gonna wrap him. And it doesn't have to be a super tight wrap, and you can come back and you can add in places if you don't like it. We're gonna wrap him all all the way up to the edge, like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of glue to the back. Pull that nice and tight. Let that dry, and then I'll cut the extra. So we now have baby Jesus. Now I'm gonna keep that upside down and let that dry. All right, next we're going to do Joseph. And again, we're gonna leave a little bit of space at the top for Joseph's face and head. So I'll start a little bit of glue on this one. Trying not to burn myself. All right, so now we're gonna start wrapping Joseph. And like I said, you don't need to do it tight. Kind of just do it however you want. Okay, and you want to try maybe not to use all of the black because we're going to want to use some of it to put some hair on Mary. All right, and I'm going to cut that. Let that dry. All right, remember we're gonna save some of that for Mary. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing for Mary. A little bit of glue on the back to start it. Oops, mine just unraveled a little bit. That's okay. All right, and then turn it over to the back. Add a little bit of glue. Hold that on there. And then we're going to trim off extra. Okay. Now that baby Jesus and Joseph have dried, if you want to, you can take your pen. Mine's got two sides here. Here's the thin side, it'll be easier. And you could draw a face on them. I like the face that they have in the example here that I found online. So I'm gonna scroll up so that I can find that face. I'm just gonna draw an eye here. And an eye here. And a mouth here. Now, one of the things they also say is you could give Joseph just a little bit of hair too, so we're gonna do that. I accidentally covered up Joseph's eyes. All right, and I'm gonna trim that off. All right, so we have a completed Joseph. Now I'm just gonna take a little piece of hair for Mary And her hair's kind of some longer hair, so I'm just gonna cut a little piece of hair for Mary. And this might be kind of hard, so you might need some help for this, but we're gonna just put a little bit of glue right there on top. We'll hold that kind of there at the top and let it dry for just a second. I did a pretty good job. Mary has some even hair. You might have to trim up Mary's hair if you want to. And again, we can put a face on Mary. All right. And I'm actually gonna put a little face on baby Jesus too. Okay. Our last thing we're gonna wrap is our star, and this is probably gonna be your trickiest one yet. So, all right, so what we're gonna do again is we're gonna add a little bit of glue to the back of that. Let that dry for just a second. All right, we're gonna just wrap this.
I can just edit this part out.
Oh, okay, we can fast forward. So when you're all done, we're going to add a little bit of glue at the back and let that dry. All right, now remember the inside doesn't have to be completely covered because some of that's gonna be covered up with Joseph and Mary. Then what I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you save just a little bit of your yellow, and we're gonna make like a little loop so that you have something to hang on your Christmas tree. And we're gonna come back with this as well. Let's see, I think I'll have my top be over here. I'm gonna add a pretty good chunk of glue there. And this is gonna glue the hanging part. All right, so we're gonna let that dry for just a second while we get all the rest of our people together. All right, so then we're gonna flip it around and we're gonna start assembling our family. So we're gonna put Mary and Joseph on there first. So we're gonna take a pretty good amount of glue and put it all on the back of Joseph. And we're gonna stick him on there. Hold him for just a couple seconds. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna put a good chunk of glue on Mary. Make sure her hair looks pretty. And we're gonna stick Mary on there. Hold her down for just a couple seconds. All right, and then the last thing we're gonna do is add some glue to baby Jesus. And we'll put him right here so that both of his parents are holding him. Press him down for just a couple seconds. And there you go. You have your nativity and you can hang that on your Christmas tree. Thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.